Free State High Court has just adjourned after a very brief sitting for what was meant to be the pre-trial hearing of former Premier Ace Magashule's personal assistant, Moroadi Cholota. The 37-year-old faces charges related to the controversial 255 million rand asbestos roofing project in the province. Our reporter Linda Mnisi has been following that case. In fact, he joins us in studio this morning. Linda, good morning to you. I keep saying good morning, because normally I'm on in the afternoon. Yeah. It was a brief appearance about what was meant to happen in court today.
All right, so a brief appearance because, of course, it was pre-trial proceedings. You remember that the pre-trial proceedings started as early as September last year. And some of the things that needed to be dealt with were issues of fully furnishing Moroadi with the docket. You'd recall that these pre-trial proceedings aim really to deal with the administrative part of a criminal case. So what would happen is that the state would give the defense full disclosure of the docket, the evidence that they intend to use in the trial. And what then happens there is that they would sit down and look at the evidence, look at what can be admitted. Things that are not in dispute would automatically be admitted to curtail the proceedings. So it kind of makes it a bit difficult if not everything has been disclosed, and can present further challenges during trial stage. So at this point, they're still dealing with issues of pre-trial, and those things, need to be ventilated until at a point where the state or both parties can say that they are ready to go to trial, which will then help the trial move speedily, and that there aren't any administrative issues that hamper progress in the trial.
But even the pre-trial hearing postponed, what does that say to us?
It says there are still preparations to go to trial, and those are not done. So until such a time that both parties are ready, they cannot move on to the next stage. Because, of course, you'd recall that, Michelle, everyone here has rights, and the accused also have a right to a fair trial. So if they prioritize time and not the actual issues that are in dispute, then it might at a later stage present problems. You'll see accused persons during trial even threatening to take the matter up on appeal based on unfair trial or being ambushed during proceedings. We did not have access to this document, and therefore we view it as ambush. So to avoid all of those issues playing out during the trial stage, they often do, the state would need to furnish and deal with all the aspects around the evidence that will later be presented in court, especially because it comes at the backdrop of, Moroadi going to the Free State High Court, attempting to have, her extradition declared unlawful, but also saying that these charges, will not succeed. It is at this point where she will know whether or not the state does indeed have a case against her. For other people, for example, what they do sometimes is that after seeing or having seen the docket, what they would do is approach the NDPP, depending on the charges that they are facing, to say, well, look, we don't think there's enough evidence for us to be prosecuted here, and we make representations for us to have this matter withdrawn based on the fact that we don't think there is enough evidence. I'm not saying it's the case in this particular case, but, you see it happen quite often. So those are some of the things that they're trying to deal with in order for them to know what's going to happen. Remember, the pleading stage is still coming. She'll get to plead once there's an indictment, that has, the final indictment where they will now be able to go to trial.
That 255 million rand asbestos project, a failed project, by the way, yeah. There are still people living with asbestos in their roofs in the Free State. But how was the personal assistant of the Premier at the time, Ace Magashule, linked to this allegations of tender fraud? Yeah.
So, among others, the state is essentially arguing that she basically tried to make, some of the business partners of alleged Edwin Sodi to make payments to third parties, allegedly on behalf of, the former Free State Premier, that is Ace Magashule. And that money, was channeled in that fashion. Some of it, they allege, was used to pay for student fees in other regards. So that's where she comes into the whole bigger picture.
All right. So we don't have a date for the pre-trial hearing as yet to resume?
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, we don't have that
Yeah.
particular, pre-trial date, but I assume it would have been announced during those proceedings when you and I were sitting on this desk.
I imagine so. Once we have that information, we'll bring it to you here on 405. Linda Mnisi, thanks very much for coming into studio.